3, 2, 1, boom! Hey everybody, it is SvenStreams. We are live today with a very special episode. I've got with me Spumdonor, the great and powerful. How are you doing today, Spum? Spum for
I'm
short.
doing great, Sven. Yes, Spum is fine. It's great to be back.
Awesome. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you guys are unfamiliar with Spumdonor's work of the YouTube channel Cartoon Aesthetics, I got it pulled up right in front of me. You could check out our previous episode that we did together, where we talked. We talked about I believe you did one of those videos about it. Since then, how Disney stole your childhood, but they deleted my YouTube channel, so it's no longer up.
Oh, is it? Can you see it anywhere? Or the episode we did before?
It will be back up eventually. I was able to back it up with the help of Jesse Pot Awful, who is in the chat today, I believe. Shout outs to Jesse from Pot Awful. You've been on his show as well.
Hey Jesse. Yeah, hey Jesse. How you doing? Well, I can't hear you, but I hope you're doing well, Jesse.
I bet he's fine. So yeah, maybe you should do a quick introduction for those unfamiliar, real quick, maybe. What you're all about?
I don't have one prepared, but you know,
sure,
I'm doing a YouTube channel that is really just trying to be videos about cartoons, comics, animation that isn't for the usual crowd of knuckle draggers. That makes it sound pretentious, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Animation YouTube, cartoon reviewers. This is not like a reputable field. This is not usually something that you would want to be caught dead watching, is people reviewing their favorite episodes of My Little Pony or whatever. So I'm trying to raise the tone a bit of the animation.
Yeah, the market seems to be kind of cornered by a lot of My Little Pony, Steven Universe-esque reviewers. You're a little bit more highbrow. I've watched all of your series, and a couple of hours ago, you released a new video, 5 hours long, with the great Eddie Fitzgerald, who was a part of Spumco, obviously, the studio who made Ren and Stimpy.
He was really John K's top guy, his number one guy. John K wanted him to be his top guy, and he said and he was his top guy, like from back when they were slumming it at Filmation and Hanna-Barbera all the way really up until now. I mean, they still know each other. They're still friends. So there was much John K respecting in this interview, but it's 5 hours long. He's retired now, but he had an amazing career. And we talked about a lot of different things, from Ren and Stimpy, obviously, to Tiny Toons, to working with Ralph Bakshi, lots of stuff. It's a great interview. So I hope everyone checks it out.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be watching this after the stream. I'm stoked about that. I love Eddie, and I watched a little bit of it when I woke up in the middle of the night, and he seems still to be full of energy. So he seems to be full of zest still, this guy.
I know. He mentioned he was 78 years old, and he's still very spry, very sharp. And incredibly just nice and cool guy to talk to.
Yeah, so guys, definitely go and subscribe to Cartoon Aesthetics, and also go find Spumdonor on Twitter. What we are going to be doing today, which we sort of foreshadowed during our previous episode that we did together, was we're going to be watching or talking about reviewing this horrendous Ren and Stimpy reboot that came out, that got shelved, and we need to talk about all these aspects. But I think what we should do first, and this is unbelievable that I even have to do this, but we have a large Zoomer audience as well here at SvenStreams, and I highly doubt that these guys even know what the fuck Ren and Stimpy is, despite it being so hugely influential to anything that I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I watched Ren and Stimpy as a kid, it activated something in my brain which set me off on the course of becoming a cartoonist. You know what I'm saying? I think Ren and Stimpy and John K are responsible for that, basically. But in the same vein, I don't think most people today, most Zoomers, have any clue what the fuck Ren and Stimpy even is. Or what do you think about that?
Well, I guess what Zoomers know is they know that John K was let me see if I'm saying this right, Diddy Blah or something like that. That's what they know about Ren and Stimpy.
Yes.
is that the creator was a Diddy, but
yes.
I mean, what can you say? There's not to put too fine a point on it, but there's basically...
we gotta get super chat. Sorry about that.
How much to make you guys watch the Hot Diggity Demon parody Stimps and Q-Cat instead of this reboot?
How much? Well, we might pull that up later. Thank you so much. Hot Diggity Demon did a parody, I think. Yeah, I believe it's where Stimpy's pulling up like a cell phone. Oh, look, I've got an iPhone.
Yeah.
It was just
yeah,
really good.
actually, that's a good clip to play because it kind of plays into one of the episodes in the reboot.
Okay, so you know what? Let me play first a clip to compare and contrast. I just thought I'd pull up some of the lesser viewed clips. Usually you play like Man's Best Friend or the Sven Hoeg or whatever. I think this clip from Space Madness is really good. It shows a little bit of I think there's like a pig being fucking sacrificed in the streets here outside. Can you guys hear this? I don't know what the fuck's happening, but
wow, that's life in the Philippines.
Well, Indonesia to be technically correct.
Oh, Indonesia, my bad.
Yeah, but here's a clip from the original Ren and Stimpy, which shows these slow burn, these moments of madness and great cartoon acting. And while I play this, I'll try to find a Hot Diggity Demon. Pretty good, right? To just kind of like compare and contrast.
If you're not an old man like we are, it's really hard to overemphasize how revolutionary this was at the time because this was like 1991, I want to say.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
You know, just watch some. You know, can we swear on this for you?
Of course, you can say anything you want.
Just watch some fucking like Scooby Doo knockoff from the 80s. Just like watch as much of it as you can stand, and it's a completely different universe. So there really, not to put a fine point on it, too fine a point, but there really is pre-Ren and Stimpy and post-Ren and Stimpy in modern animation.
Yes, 100%.
That's how important it was.
Yes, and Ren and Stimpy came out, they brought back creator-driven cartoons made by cartoonists rather than writers off the heels of 1960s, 70s, and 80s cartoons, which was all writer. Well, I mean, you know more of this than me probably, but yes, this is what resulted in like Scooby-Doo and shit like that.
We had a good conversation about this in our last episode, so when you re-upload that, people should have a listen. But yeah, you know, this has what you're watching now, the clip, like it has real direction, like a film would. Like it feels like somebody's actually in charge. It doesn't just feel like characters are being copy and pasted onto the background and just blathering to each other whatever the script says. Like you feel like you're watching something that has some artistry to it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I want to reestablish some of these terms like writer cartoon versus creator-driven cartoon and stuff like that is because I know it's going to be brought up when we actually review these reboot episodes, because the reboot episodes, they're 100% writer cartoons. I have a little clip of the head of the director of this. Her name is Jen Jaffy, I think. And we're going to start, before we even get into these episodes, we're going to watch that little clip of her, which sets the tone.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
You have not seen that?
I've never heard her speak before, but I can't wait.
But maybe we should just explain real quick the difference between a writer cartoon and a cartoon driven cartoon. A cartoonist driven cartoon.
Okay, well, you were kind of alluding to it, but yeah, in a nutshell, when the old cartoons, the old Tom and Jerry's, Tex Avery, Looney Tunes, they were made by cartoonists, but when animation transitioned to TV, slowly, but in about the span of a decade, the industry was taken over by writers. So instead of cartoonists thinking up a story, making some, coming up with some funny drawings that would tell the story and telling it visually and so forth, it switched over to the TV production model of you have a team of writers and they write out the scripts like you would write a film script. And then they would just kind of hand those scripts over to the animators and artists to, they didn't have the animators and artists didn't have creative input, and they weren't even allowed to really draw funny. They were expected to kind of copy the same expressions and poses from episode to episode. And if you watch cartoons from the 70s and 80s, you'll see this. It's just like copy and paste all the way down. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between a writer cartoon
and the reason why that is such a bad idea is because you're basically defying the medium. You know what I'm saying? If, let's say, the task at hand is to write a book, you would hire a novelist. You wouldn't hire a violinist to write your novel, right? Because they're not intimately knowledgeable about the medium. Now, the medium of cartooning, by definition, a cartoonist is intimately knowledgeable of the medium because he makes cartoons. So if you have your medium be driven by a cartoonist, by cartooning, you're going to get a good cartoon. Now, if you're defying the medium by having writers who write sitcoms who have no fucking clue about the medium, about the possibilities and its shortcomings, you're gonna have a disaster. Basically, that's what happens every time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and when you start saying stuff like that, you get into these weird arguments with people about how like cartoonists are only good at drawing, so they don't understand what good writing is, and you need a real writer to write the script for a TV episode. And it's like, well, have you ever read a comic book or a comic strip? Like those are cartoonists who most of the time are coming up with their own stories. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but people don't think about it too consistently.
Yeah. Plus, look, if you look at original Ren and Stimpy episodes, so Ren and Stimpy, there's a lot of the times they're spoofing the golden age era cartoons themselves or the tropes in that. People don't even really realize this. So, for instance, this new show, one of the first episodes, they basically take the same plot, kind of, or the same gag, the running gag of a classic Ren and Stimpy episode. I'm talking about the one where they have to go get the pig faces, the pig pies with the baboon in the backyard. You know that one? Oh,
yeah, A Yard Too Far.
That
was the season 3 premiere right after John Kay had been fired, yeah.
Yeah, which is, of course, a spoof on a trope in a cartoon. Like it's probably like from a Yogi Bear cartoon. Everybody's seen a scene in a classic Golden Age cartoon where like they smell the pie and then they start floating midair to follow like the wafts of pie smell. And then they come to the backyard. They want to get to the windowsill to get to the pie. That's the basic plot of the cartoon, but there's a guard dog in the backyard, and then hijinks ensue, and it sets it up for a bunch of cartoon gags. Now, Ren and Stimpy took that same formulaic plot of having to get to the windowsill, but instead of pies, it was sliced off pig faces, okay? Because it's the 90s, and it's way more funny. And then instead of a guard dog in the backyard, it was a rabid baboon, okay? Which is just it's hilarious. It's fun. So even the scripts involve a knowledge of cartoons. It's dripping with cartoon, everything from the acting. So, and again, the medium of cartoons, if done well, it can have for way more involved, emotionally charged acting. And this is something John Kay was known for because he famously said, never use the same face twice. People have seen the dissertations online about this. Like he famously would like throw out people's layout drawings if they were just copy pasting faces or expressions that they had already done. Because a cartoonist can really get in there and really get like unique, specific expressions drawn. And one of the things that happened in the reboot is, and do I have this up? I can pull some of this stuff up right now. I think we might as well. Real quick. So you sent me a bunch of these images wherein you see blatant tracing happening. So look, guys, here you have. You can see this as well, right? So look. Here's a drawing from the original show, yes, and then here, this is a traced, basically rehashed version of that drawing. Same thing here, original, reboot. The original, the reboot. So even that philosophy that John Kay had. Now, what do you think happened here? Do you think, because evidently you have a bunch of women writing this new show. They have no clue what they're talking about.
Women?
A bunch of women. Yeah, go ahead. I'll pour myself another drink.
Well, the copy pasting that you're seeing, I can't blame that on the women, the almost
writers.
all women writing room per se, but I think what happened. I mean, this is one of those classic cases of like the behind the scenes shit show is way more interesting than the final product.
Yes,
because.
I'll pull up that tweet you did with the guy that reacted to your video. I'll pull that up after this.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The reboot was announced in like 2020, and then it got going, and then it was put on hiatus, and then it got going again. And a big part of like why it was such a troubled production was that, well, first of all, they tried bringing back some of the guys who worked on the original series, or at least they did try to bring back guys who worked on the original series, but then they didn't want their input. They said that's kind of not what we're going for here, and they tried to bring back this guy named Bob Camp who quit. Basically, almost everybody they tried to bring back from the original show quit because of how they were turning it into a writer cartoon. So what I think happened with these copied drawings is that they didn't have good talent on hand to do the show maybe how it should be. So at some point they just threw up their hands and said, like, just copy the original show because we need to have it look, at least at passing glance, enough like the original series.
Yes. Plus, look, I'm of the opinion that if you have a remake or a reboot or something like that, it requires basically the original creator to be on board, whether it's like in video games or movies or whatever it is, right? Because, for instance, they do like, you might not know about this, but they do like a Demon Slayer remake, and it's a completely different Western team, and all of the little nuances get lost because these people don't know. They are not intimately involved. They are not knowledgeable about what the intent behind everything was of the original. So without the original creator, you basically can't do it. It's Ren and Stimpy in name only. And what's the point at that point? You're basically just going off of brand recognition to sell stuff, right? But then, but in this case, it doesn't make any sense because it is something that I'm wondering about is why wasn't it released? Because if it's just this cynical cash grab, right, where these writers were just going, okay, we are tasked with writing a cartoon. They hate cartoons because they're constantly fighting against the medium, okay? So whenever they had the original crew people on, they're trying to give their input to make it into a cartoon, to make it into Ren and Stimpy. They don't like that, right? They want to have full reign. So they're fighting against the medium while they're making this. And then they eventually they fire everybody that used to be involved, the actual cartoonists. So then why not, if it's such a cynical production, why not just release it? Who gives a fuck? Because basically all these episodes are there. So do you know about that? What's your opinion on that?
Well, we should probably explain that the reboot has never been officially released.
Yeah.
I think because when at first one episode leaked online, on like it was December 31st, 2024 or 2023, maybe January 1st, 2024, year and a half ago, the reaction was so bad. And then like later that same month, the rest of the episodes leaked, the full season leaked, and then people were shitting all over that. So, you know, maybe they just figured like, well, the reaction to this is so bad, it's just gotta be a tax write-off at this point.
Yeah, maybe. But I just feel like if they're already so cynical about the whole production and the whole thing, like evidently they don't give a fuck about the brand anyways. And it's not like Ren and Stimpy necessarily is such an IP that they would damage its name by releasing shitty products. Well, you know what I'm saying?
There was a lot of hype around this. Like people were excited about the reboot, and then there was some controversy even at the start because Robin Bird, who was the subject of that BuzzFeed article about John Kay being a groomer, she came out. She started a Change.org petition saying, "Don't let this reboot happen because you're going to be enabling John Kay to groom more young girls somehow."
Yeah, well, so I guess he would get residuals off of this.
Well, actually, that's the thing. I don't even think that would be the case. I think they tried to argue that was the case, but not only did he not have input on it, but I don't think he would have even made money off of it. And sorry, just to be pedantic and correct the record a little bit. The first episode of this reboot leaked on in May of 2024. The whole rest of the episodes leaked in July 2024. Some clips and stuff came out in January.
Okay.
That was the first taste we got of it.
When I was watching this, part of me, I started to imagine, like, what would it be like for John Kay to see this? Because it would be so horrendous to see, like, your creation, your brainchild. He developed this. He made this. This is his. It's literally him. You know, Ren is him, is a part of him. Stimpy, and then to see it be just some incompetent idiots run away with it and just ruin it and just not get it. It must be so absolutely heartbreaking for that guy to just see what they did to this.
Right. Well, he was mad enough when they took the show away from him the first time when he got fired between seasons 2 and 3. But I got to tell you, I got a whole new level of respect for those John Kay-less episodes from the original run. They look a lot better now.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I'm showing
At
some
least they
more
were being.
stuff.
At least they.
Yeah, go ahead.
At least they were still being made by cartoonists, you know,
Yes,
by
yeah.
people who had been part of the show to begin with.
Yeah,
for the
could you
most part.
imagine? We back then were even like, okay, this is not really has the same feel anymore. But then now you have this, and it's just like unimaginably horrendous. Okay, let me pull up.
And just to touch,
yeah, go. I'll pull up the.
Well, I was gonna say, you were just saying, like, you know, the show, it really is John Kay, and it's a reflection of John Kay. How do you feel about Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon? Did we talk about this before?
We did, but I can give you my opinion on it. I think, and you see this happen a lot of times. I think John Kay worked best under the restraint of the network. I think because then he has to fight against censorship, and you get this interesting middle ground, right? So it's famously, there's all these kinds of stories that John Kay tells where he has to fight the censors, he has to fight against the network. And so that's why they have to, and they were trying to see how far they could go. So a lot of these episodes, they're a result of specifically that battle, right? So the rubber nipple salesman episode is because they found out that they could use the word nipple, but only in the context of a rubber nipple. So then they decided we're just going to make a whole episode about that. And then you get this weird absurdism from that, right? Famously, Bruce Timm, that was making the cartoon in a similar era, also in the early 90s with the Batman, the animated series, they talked about how the Joker was not allowed to kill on camera in the cartoon. So they had to find ways around that creatively. And then they came up with this Joker toxin that would just leave people in this catatonic, smiling, giggling, zombie-like state. You know, so basically they're basically dead, but they're just going like, as they're dead, which makes it a lot more creepy than just straight up killing. It makes it almost worse. It's a fate worse than death. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these times, censorship can actually, when you have to work on these margins, interesting stuff can actually happen. Then when they let him off the chain, and basically it was expected of him too by Spike Network, I believe it was, for him to go balls out. Then you get like Ren and Stimpy like butt fucking each other and stuff like that, and they're like you know.
That's a good point, and I understand completely. But I guess much like the games episodes of Ren and Stimpy from the original series after John Kay got fired, I have more respect for adult party cartoon now because you know, for all its flaws, it does have integrity and it is an expression of something genuine.
And I love the animation in adult party cartoon.
And and just on an animation level, there's a lot of funny drawings and animation too. Yeah. Yes.
I just felt like in adult party cartoon, and I'm not even necessarily saying this is like John Kay's problem, but again, so it doesn't feel like the original series. So that's what was jarring to me when I saw.
I wish, you know, I think we all wish he could have just done the George Liquor show at that point, like he wanted to, instead of having to go back to the well of Ren and Stimpy. But hey, I guess that's the only way he could get a show on TV again at that point.
Why the fuck can't John? Well, I guess you had the Cans Without Labels debacle, but I was gonna ask, like, how can't this guy get funded to make a fucking cartoon at this point? Like, he's a legend. Let this man make a cartoon.
At this point, I think there might be some other issues.
Sure, I know, but isn't that bad? Like, what did he do? He groomed a little child? Like, can you just get a cartoon? Can you just get a cartoon? Can we look past that? Can this man make a cartoon before he croaks, please, with Eddie?
Yeah.
Can you have one more cartoon, please, guys? Come on. Gives a fuck. Okay, let's watch this real quick. Yeah, this it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is done by Hot Diggity Demon, Max Gilardi.
Hey Ren, look! I found this really cool website. It's called 8chan. There's a guy on here named Q who's teaching me all kinds of stuff.
So, it's finally happened. You've lost your mind. Come on, man. You can't believe everything you read on the Chan boards? Why, those people are just a bunch of racist incels. I knew you were dumb, but I didn't think you were this stupid.
Hey now, does this face look stupid to you? Yes, sir. Good old patriots like us gotta stick together. Where we go one, we go all.
Well, not me. I'm too smart for that paranoid conspiratorial mumbo-jumbo.
What? No! Please believe in QAnon, Ren, please!
Get off! All right, you buffoon, fine. I'll give you one chance to prove that Trump is engaged in a secret covert war against the shadowy cabal of deep state adrenochrome harvesting pedophiles.
Joy. I look up the evidence using an app on my iPhone.
Don't just reference modern shit, you idiot. That's not comedy.
Look, Ren, if you look in the background of this photo, there's a fire truck with a Q on it.
Oh, brother, that's nothing.
And this photo has Do It Q at the beginning of the file name. It was uploaded to the official White House Twitter account.
It's a coincidence, you idiot. Those are just a bunch of random letters.
Yeah, but what are the odds of one of them being the letter Q?
What are the odds? Oh, I don't know. 1 in 26?
And look, Q even predicted the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein.
So, you like this Q guy, huh?
Oh yeah, Ren. He's the best.
And you'd do anything he tells
This is so
you?
good.
Darn, good patriots always follow their brave leader.
This is good.
He puts his own style in it a little bit. You know, it's not like 100%. But he has some really funny drawings.
Bet I don't look so stupid now. It was me. I was the Q.
Nice little Stimpy's invention reference at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty good. I don't know if they should have gone that route with like official Ren and Stimpy property, but
Well, that was a lot better than what we just watched. Almost 10 episodes of.
look,
but
this was literally 10 times better than any of the episodes that I watched, and I watched like 6 episodes and I couldn't take it. I was like live tweeting or live DMing you as I was guessing jokes well before they happened. I sent you a video of me guessing the Mr. Horse thing.
yeah, you foresaw the Mr. Horse subversion of expectations. With his catchphrase. Yeah.
Yes, modern day millennial subversion, the simplest form of that. Yeah, but okay, let's first go through. We're setting up, and we'll actually try and watch some of this stuff. Now I have to put an overlay over the footage so we don't get any copyright strikes or whatever. Or the channel because they're really like diligent of scraping the internet of these clips, huh? Specifically with this reboot, it seems.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're just trying to bury it completely. That's why they're extra diligent about it. Yeah.
So here's a behind the scenes thing that happened. You uploaded a video about this whole thing that's still up. It's still on your channel, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of proud of this. That I have I'm a small footnote in the saga of this reboot because when that episode leaked in May of 2024, I did a quick reaction video where it was just like me talking. This was the first video I put up on my channel, the first real one. I didn't even have a good mic yet, but I just called it a writer cartoon and I talked about why it sucked and blah, 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 some of the same things we've said already. And then to my surprise, Bill Ray, who was one of the artists on the original series, I guess he said, hey, this guy is right, and he gave more behind the scenes info than had been previously available about how poorly and disrespectfully he and the other original guys were treated by the reboot's staff, and how they were told that they were just a bunch of old white men and their ideas were outdated. And
should I just read the whole thing?
We're not doing it that way anymore.
Should I just read this?
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and read. So this is Bill Ray, one of the original crew guys, and one of the guys that left this production. So he goes, so almost 2 years ago, they asked me, Bob Camp, and Jim Gomez to come back and work on the reboot of Ren and Stimpy. This gentleman reviewed the first new reboot. That's about you, referring to you. I have not watched and never will, but he was able to guess just from watching the cartoon almost exactly what we went through. Any familiar names in this production stayed on it for the money, as they told us to do. But it's speaking for myself. It would have killed me to just make the thing look good with that writer's writing as the reviewer talks about. But yes, we tried to educate them, and they wouldn't let us in the writer's room. So they're not letting the original crew or the cartoonists into the writer's room. Management made promises for us to write and direct, and they completely reneged on them. They were absolutely sure that we were old white men who had no idea how young and fresh humor had progressed. Oh boy. And they would get really mad when you asked them, what does young and fresh mean? And I know I'll get canceled for saying this, but this was a young, inexperienced woman's writing room. I'm pretty sure that most of their merger credits came from working on this show.
I think he meant meager.
Oh, meager.
I think he meant meager. That's what he meant. Yeah,
most of the meager credits came after working on the show because we started it 2 years ago. Who forced us out, and because of our age and gender. This is not a bitter old man's supposition. They said it to our faces in Zoom rooms, and they said it privately to us again and again. I waited 30 years for this to happen and got my heart broken all over again. The Ren and Stimpy curse continues. Paramount would be smart to write this thing off, and I think they might. Okay, so there you have it. What a fucking disaster. What a fucking disaster.
They did, yeah.
So,
So the only things we'd heard about because there was like a 2-year period of silence where you just didn't hear anything about what was happening with this reboot, and people were like, is it still happening? Is it not? The only thing you got was like Bob Camp made some really polite statement on Facebook to the effect of like, yeah, we're having creative differences. I'm not going to be on it anymore.
Yeah, so
but this was a bit more of the truth here.
Yeah, exactly. So you have these guys talking, they're referencing the writer's room, mostly by women. Now, this is Jen Jaffy. She was the director, I believe, because even her logo, her personal logo, appears at the end of this episode, of each episode, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, which is very like epic millennial Adult Swim 2000s style.
Yes, but they were really trying to prop this woman up, right? So in the beginning, you have MTV Network, then the cartoon happens, and then at the end, you have a Jen Jaffy production, basically. Like her name was really, like she's spearheading this. Yeah.
The Jen Jaffy. Wow.
Yes. So here's the Jen Jaffy. This is a 2-minute video where Jen Jaffy explains herself a little bit. So we get to know the person behind this series a little bit. The title of this video is OCD, Anxiety Disorders, Depression, and What I Would Have Told My Younger Self by Jen Jaffy.
That's what I felt watching. That's what I felt watching the reboot. This is perfect.
Right? Yes, exactly. Oh my God, look at this.
Hi, my name is Jenny Jaffy, and I'm a TV writer and the founder of Project You Are Okay. I have OCD, panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression. And this is a video to my younger self.
Her eyes
my
need
younger
to be
self,
moved
it's
closer
me from
together.
the future. I'm still here. I'm filming this on a phone, and the guy from The Apprentice is the president. So,
when did you reference something about Trump? I'm so look. When was this uploaded? Oh, this is 7 years ago. I'm so glad that we're out of this cancel cycle, this cancel culture cycle. We get to breathe a little bit. I think it's going to come back with a vengeance in a couple of years, but at least we have a little bit of a breather now.
Oh, really?
But remember how strict things were back then with like the LGBTQ and the trannies and all that stuff. And you really couldn't say anything. You would get canceled, right? And there is a vindictive war against like old white men, even like the guys, like I work with certain guys in Comicsgate, Ethan Van Sciver, all those classic cartoonists that work for Marvel and DC, all those old guys, they kicked them out of the business for being either conservative or white or old, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I remember. Well, and that was still very much part of the milieu in 2020 when the reboot was announced, and was part of the reason that there was such an immediate backlash to it.
Yeah, the cancel culture has only been receding since Trump's last election, so it's only been a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? Basically, since we've kind of had like
when Robin. Yeah, basically. When Robin Bird started that Change.org petition to cancel the reboot, one of the things she said on social media was like, John K aside, we really don't need Ren and Stimpy to come back because that's just like typical white dude humor.
Oh my
And it's
fucking
like, didn't you
God!
used to write fan? Didn't you used to write fan letters? Isn't that the whole reason you got into the business? Was this old white dude humor show?
Yeah, and also white dude humor is funny. This is another thing that I was looking into. I wanted to look into this way more because I was thinking, like, what is it that makes women so incapable of humor, right? I was actually looking up, like, are there like scientific articles about any of this or research? There is some stuff, of course. You can't really ask ChatGPT about this because it's so politically correct. It won't give you stuff like that. It's like, this is stereotypical thinking. But you could sort of surmise, like, there is no, so women are real. They're, first of all, they're consensus thinkers. Okay, so women. They think of they're social creatures. They think from a consensus. Okay, so they don't value truth necessarily. They look around them because they don't have the physical ability to defend themselves, so they benefit from being yes men or yes women, basically. So they look at the group and they go, yeah, I agree. Do we all, what does everybody else believe? Oh, I'll believe that too. So if you're a consensus thinker, that doesn't really make for much originality. Also, not much risk taking, which a good funny joke, there's a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of risky business, a lot of risky baggage there. So I think, I need to make my own dissertation. But I think there's a lot to be said because we all know instinctively there's not really any real funny women, and yeah, they think it's very mean. It's mean spirited and white men, cis white male coded when you have like actual funny, edgy stuff happening in a cartoon, right? Because another thing that I noticed, by the way, and this also cuts into the defying the medium. In this cartoon, for instance, there's a scene where Stimpy gets sucked into a wood shredder, okay? And he's like screaming, like the typical Ren and Stimpy scream. It's no longer what's the voice actor again? Billy West. It's no longer Billy West doing the insane maniacal screams because he's 99 years old. So they got somebody else now. I could tell the screams is done by the intern. But then, so Stimpy gets sucked into a wood chipper. He's screaming. Then he comes out the other end and he just plops down and he goes, "I'm fine." And I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck? I think Chuck Jones, I believe, one of the Golden Age animators, he laid out the basics of a cartoon gag, which it's the anticipation. It's Wile E. Coyote looking up, seeing the anvil or the big boulder coming down at him, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's the impact, the crash, the thing, the anvil crashing onto his fucking body. And then the most important part, the punchline, is the aftermath, the reaction. It's him being a harmonica going, Or they put a stick of dynamite in the cartoon character's mouth. Then you have the impact, the explosion. Then the aftermath, their teeth crumble and fall out. That's the funny part. But of course, that's very mean-spirited, so they choose to leave that stuff out mostly in this reboot.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's funny. I mean, I'm actually probably more sensitive than most to what you might call mean-spirited humor, because I remember as a kid, it really bothered me how after John K. and the Spumco guys got fired off the show, it did become more mean-spirited. Like Ren and Stimpy got abused more often for no reason. Yeah. But again, this watching the reboot has made me more forgiving of that stuff because yeah, it did. The original series did have a very male-coded kind of aggressiveness to its humor. That was
but don't you think that like a woman would intrinsically almost be have aversion towards slapstick humor? Do you think right now in this current day and age, Daffy Duck getting a shotgun, one of the most classic cartoon gags, Daffy Duck getting a shotgun blast in the fucking face, okay? And then his beak. They would go, "Oh my God, that's toxic. That's promoting gun culture. It's animal abuse." You know what I'm saying? A woman's mind would not come up with that.
One of the things that animation's transition to TV did was it removed violence in cartoons for a really long time because, women management and women executives they thought that violent cartoons were going to turn kids into little psychopaths.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe sometimes that's true, but also, so what? Who cares? It's funny, and that's what we want from cartoons. So, yeah, when you watch the Ren and Stimpy reboot, you're getting a real... you're getting a women's perspective on Ren and Stimpy, or what they think Ren and Stimpy ought to be, and it's very unrecognizable from the original series.
Yes, and if you're going to be charitable, like there's some good aspects, like there's some good drawing, there's some good background paints, despite it being like digital, right? If you have to say some positive things about this show, there's some of that stuff in there, but that's not that they have nothing to do with that. Like that's like the artists who probably are all Korean men. I bet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there was some Korean animation that I noticed in the credits, but actually, you know, the animation director on this reboot was Bob Jakes, who was one of the original series animation directors. But he was just kind of, you can tell he was just stuck in the position of trying to polish a turd, as they say, and just trying to make it passable.
Yeah.
And you know, but you get this weird, you get this weird uncanny feeling as you're watching the show because of that graphic that you showed earlier with all the copied drawings, where you see a drawing that looks decent, and you're like, "But have I seen that before? Is that just a copied drawing from the original?"
This was
sometimes in the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah. Sometimes in the back of my mind, watching it, I was like, "No, that's definitely a copy of an old drawing." So,
dude, it's
not really easy to enjoy.
There's so many, like the whole time I'm watching this series, because I've watched Ren and Stimpy a gazillion times. Okay, as a kid, I recorded it on VHS. I've watched it a million times. So when I'm watching this reboot, I'm seeing keyframes and there's like little bursts in my brain. Like, wait, what is that? Wait, that's right. I recognize that. That's constantly. They're constantly reusing layouts from the previous show. We just showcased that. I showed a bunch of the images, but okay, let's watch this. Jaffy, let's finish this, and then I guess we'll showcase some of these episodes, and hopefully not get blocked.
Hi, my name is Jenny Jaffy, and I'm a TV writer and the founder of Project You Are Okay. I have OCD, panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression, and this is a video to my younger self. Hi, younger self, it's me from the future.
I'm fucked up.
I'm still here. I'm filming this on a phone, and the guy from The Apprentice is the president, so win some, lose some. I am making this video because I wanted to let you know I really need you to stick around to see this, because you're gonna love what happens on the other side.
I get to ruin Ren and Stimpy.
It's not always gonna be easy. You're gonna go through a lot of challenges, but what you're gonna find is that what you're going through now
the perfect
is going to make you
Ren and
stronger
Stimpy.
than you ever thought you could be, and you're gonna get to help a lot of people.
And
you're going to get to live in New York City, and you're going to get to write comedy, and you're going to get to write for Disney, and you're going to get to live in LA.
You get to write other people's characters,
and you're going to make friends. And everything that
Desecrate
you thought
other people's
was never
characters.
going to happen because you were just worried about
living in
whether or
LA
not
is an
you'd
aspiration.
survive is waiting for you, and so much more. And I really just want to tell you that you may think it's BS, but for me, you got to hang in there. And for anyone else out there who's going through what I went through and is wondering if it's worth waking up in their brain every day. You may not believe me, but try and tune into what your older self is telling you. And I think they may be telling you, stick around and see what happens.
Stick around, implying that she was like contemplating suicide because she has it so rough.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, she has it so rough.
You know, John Kay was fucked up too, but when he put that into the show, it was funny.
Yes, that's actually what I was thinking. Like, okay, if you have all these sickening mental illnesses, right? Why is none of that present in this show? Because every time, like, Ren goes. So what I think has happened is this too, right? So they were just like, this game, hey, look, by the way, you're going to be doing Ren and Stimpy, the show from the 90s. She's like, what, Ren and Stimpy, cartoon? All right, cool. Okay, what is this all about? And then they just made a checklist, like what needs to be retained from the original to maintain its corporate identity? And they just went, okay, it's gross. It has gross out humor. And then something I told you before in DMs when I was watching this, it's a lot of bug stuff. Okay, so when women see the word gross, what they think about is, ooh, icky, a cockroach, a worm, ooh, a tick, a leech, yucky. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of yucky bugs.
That's a good observation. Yeah, in multiple episodes, there's like talking cockroaches and stuff, and that must have been the thought process there.
Yeah, and leeches and stuff like that. But they're never shown to actually be grotesque, right? There's this really, it feels really sanitized. And whenever Ren, and then one of the other things is like, oh, there's one character, he's like, he goes crazy sometimes. But here, usually it's like this slow burn. You feel the madness. Like in an original Ren and Stimpy episode, when I was watching that as a kid, you almost feel like you were going crazy while watching this. You know what I'm saying? That's how good the acting and direction was. And it's just like, Ren just goes off immediately. He just goes like, Stimpy, can you go to sleep, please? And then he goes, I'm going. Yes, immediately. It's like, what? This is not how Ren is supposed to be.
Right. Ren having psychotic episodes was one of those things they put on the list of, okay, this is what people remember about the original, so we need to have that too. They're totally phoned. God, I thought they were phoned in on the games episodes of the original series after John K left. These are really phoned in psycho freak out scenes. They don't even register at all.
No. And compare this shit. I think one of the games episodes where Ren goes crazy, where he becomes like the hermit, right?
Hermit Ren. Yeah, that's one of the very best. When we say games episodes, that's the name of the production company that Nickelodeon created to take over Ren and Stimpy after John K got fired on the original series. But yeah, Hermit Ren was one of the best games episodes of the original series. Yeah.
Yes, but if I think about like Ren going a madness episode of Ren in one of the games episodes, that's what I think of, and then imagine comparing that to Ren going crazy in this new reboot. It's just, it doesn't even compare in the slightest.
I'll say something. I'll say something nice. The one attempted Ren freakout scene that could have maybe been decent if they worked on it a little more is the episode where they're stuck in traffic. Extremely writer humor premise, by the way, being stuck in traffic, because that's all they fucking do in LA is get stuck in traffic.
You know what I was thinking? Okay, I'll let you finish first. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, that was the only time where maybe they could have made it work. Is Ren freaks out while stuck in traffic and starts talking about how like we all need to worship traffic and traffic is our god. Like maybe that could have been better if they worked on it a little bit. But that's about the best I can say for that.
Yeah, so I watched the one where they're stuck in traffic, and again, it's so convoluted. Again, it's so women-y. It's so women-y to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just bad.
Is women humor convoluted? Yeah,
it reminds me of an anecdote of Gavin McInnes. I shat on Gavin McInnes on Twitter yesterday. It went viral, but Gavin McInnes once did an anecdote where he was working on a commercial, okay, for Converse or something, and he came up with a commercial idea where I think like all the toes are sticking out, or it's like fingers. I think it was toes. The toes are sticking out, and the toes are little human puppets. So each individual toe has a face drawn on it, right? And they're like doing things and blah, blah, blah. And then a woman, the executive, she's like, okay, what about then like a big person comes in, but it's like a foot? It's like a big foot with a face on it? And then Gavin was like, no. In this universe, it's established that the toes are people. So the toes are the people. So you can't then introduce a foot. Look, so in this surreal, within the confines of this made-up rules of this toe world, it would make zero sense to introduce now a foot person, right? So he gets like super angry trying to explain the logical consistency of this made-up surreal world to this woman. She's like, "What? No, just put the foot in there." Because this is about footwear. It's like, no, you don't get it. Right. Like they don't get it. Like they just don't understand.
Well, you know yeah. John K used to talk all the time about like having to justify the cartoon logic of Ren and Stimpy to these executives and women executives about like, yeah, you just have to suspend your disbelief and go with an absurd premise. But you know, as far as like overcomplicating things, I think maybe one of the reasons that women's humor doesn't quite work a lot of the time is that women just like to talk, and there's nothing wrong with that in of itself, but brevity is the soul of wit, as they say, right?
Yes.
So it's hard for them to it's hard for them to be blunt and to the point in a way that kind of like socks you in the gut and makes you laugh without thinking about it because they overthink things.
Yes, and what is a cartoon? It's a visual medium. Men are prone to violence, let's just say, for better or for worse, and that makes for very good slapstick writing. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, you see this too in like female webcomics or like left-wing webcomics. It's always just these walls of convoluted text. And then ironically, it's always mean-spirited to the fact where it always ends up in them like just killing their opponent. It's never any witticisms, never witty. Okay,
right. Well, hence the.
No. You finish your point, and then we're gonna press play on one of these episodes. Now, I have to tell people though that I had to put an overlay on there. I researched how to get around to copyright claims. So I have this thing here, so it's not gonna be great visuals to watch, I guess, but you'll get the point. I hope. Do you want to just get into this with the first one?
No, I think we covered the last point. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it was a pretty good lead-in. I think everybody gets it. So should we start with Renhattan? You made a bunch of time codes. I kind of just want to get into like the worst of the worst stuff. Yeah, let's just start with Renhattan. Yeah. I think. Yeah. So Renhattan, this is an allegory for capitalism and like having to pay rent and stuff like that, right? This episode.
Yeah, it's at about 5 minutes for your audience. John K's definition of writer speak.
Yes.
Just for context.
Yeah.
Okay. So on John K's blog, which is johnk.blogspot.com, it's still up. Massive trove of information about cartoons and theory and philosophy. He defined writer speak, which is a term I use all the time in relation to writer cartoons, as he wrote, a lot of characters in modern cartoons are simply mouthpieces for the writers. They speak rather than the character's voice, tell jokes that the writer and his writer friends think are funny, but are totally out of character for the character who is saying them. This is known as writer speak. And then he uses an example of a Simpsons joke. He says, I bet that asteroid will burn out in the atmosphere and shrink to the size of a chihuahua's head. That's informational. It's a setup for a gag that's supposed to happen. So the audience predicts the gag based on the line of dialogue, and then, as he puts it, they congratulate themselves when they find out they were duped into being right. A gag that cartoonists are not allowed to actually make funny by drawing the payoff funny. This is a line of dialogue that could be read by any character in the story. To the writer of a line like this, the characters are interchangeable, just an assortment of extra mouths for the writer whose mouth doesn't appear on screen.
Yes, so, you're absolutely right.
Writer speak. This is the hallmark of writer cartoons is writer speak, and that's most of the examples of the worst moments on the reboot where I found.
I immediately one of the worst moments that I remember is in the episode that comes after Renhattan, Table for Humans. There's a gag that's completely exemplary of this. There's like you have like they switch skins, and you remember this episode, right? So a man is in a dog skin.
Oh yeah,
and then there's like a little boy in an iron lung that gets introduced, and this whole scene gets introduced and resolved in under 5 seconds. And they go, I can't even say it because it's so cringe. The line is so gay and cringe. They go, oh yeah, Timmy, he will never get out of this iron lung unless there's some kind of a dog-based miracle, they say. A dog-based miracle. Do you catch this line?
Right. They're setting it up so that you know exactly what the joke is going to be.
Yes, exactly. And it's not even funny. Like, what is it? What is even a dog-based miracle? And then the dog comes in, licks the boy. He immediately comes out of the iron tube. There's not even awake. So it shows they have zero confidence even in that. And then they say, oh, look, it's Dog Jesus. Because every modern-day millennial cartoon needs to have some kind of an atheistic mockery of the Lord Jesus Christ in it, because that's brave. You know what I'm saying? They do that. They mock Christ in this new cartoon, guys.
That is anything with Jesus is a millennial humor trademark for sure.
Yes. Okay. So let's watch this horse shit. But yeah, be
right. So this moment is some with these roaches like we were talking about, the fucking bugs all over the show.
Yeah, bugs, because bugs are icky, because that's gross. That's like Ren and Stimpy. But I want to show the intro too a little bit just to give people a little bit of a vibe. This, by the way, this la 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 la, that what they put in the intro, it really reminds me of like that French cartoon, like Icky and the Cockroaches. Have you seen that stuff?
Oh yeah.
It's really French. This intro, like la la la, blah, 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 or those that you had to show with those aliens, 4 aliens being roommates, that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, Space Goofs.
Yeah, Space Goofs. Is that French? Feels French. Space
it might
Goofs.
have been. Yeah.
Or Canadian or something. Here, Renhan. Now, again, I like some of the digital background stuff. I like it. Now, you guys won't be able to see this clearly with this stupid screen, but... All right, so we have to fast forward to 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Yeah,
what is
5:43, I think it was. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Liar, huh? My guy'll fix it next week.
So should we set up real quick what happens? So their apartment gets infested with cockroaches, and then Ren decides to charge the cockroaches rent, and it's like a commentary on capitalism.
Yeah, he's a landlord because they're all Bernie Bros in the writers' room.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ren is an evil landlord to these cockroaches. Yeah, not funny.
No, it's not. Oh no, it sucks.
But I don't want to take off my panda.
But this is like, but to me, this is like, to me,
Yeah.
this humor isn't even like that different from a lot of shows that are on the air already. And this is just a style of humor that's very common on TV animation now.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just hearing wordplay for its own sake, but it's not funny.
Oh wait, this one, this gag I sent. This was where I had to pause for the first time, because usually in the original Ren and Stimpy, in animation you have you have your anticipation frame. So let's say somebody has to jump up in the sky. Okay, they'll duck down, and a lot of times they would add a little sound gag. Whenever Stimpy would jump, he would kneel down to anticipate his jump, and they would put in a little fart. Okay. Just as a little gag. So now what they do here with Stimpy, believe it or not, guys, Stimpy is about to expose his full asshole out of nowhere, and there's going to be like an extended farting scene where you literally see a stream of gas shoot out of his asshole. Or am I wrong? Did I dream that this happened?
No, this is actually like probably the most graphic bodily function joke in the whole show. It's the only thing that maybe could have passed for something on Adult Party Cartoon.
Right? Because usually you'll have like 2 buttocks that maybe have a fart, but you see his asshole here. Okay, let's just watch this real quick.
Obviously, the joke is that it goes on, but
yeah, that's the joke.
It's not funny, but that's the joke.
It's not funny. Okay, so this keeps going on. Let's go to the next time code. This episode was really, really bad, especially as a first episode to get you into it. Then maybe Table for Humans, the one maybe we should a Jesus joke. That's in this, right?
Sure.
Okay, so this is basically... Well, the thing that happens here real quick. So in this episode, so Ren and Stimpy, they want to go eat at a French restaurant, but it is humans only, no pets allowed. So they decide to change skin with a human, right? So it's basically the same episode setup as that episode that we discussed earlier, where Ren and Stimpy have to go into the... Yeah.
That occurred to me later. Is that like the main visual of this episode is basically stolen just from a gag sequence in A Yard Too Far, where they're dressed up as a mailman, or like in a human suit.
Yes. So here's something that I noticed. That episode is imprinted into my brain because I would pause my VHS tape of Ren and Stimpy as a kid. The moment where Ren rips Stimpy's skin off, and you see Stimpy standing there, and you have you can see his intestines and stuff. It's all cartoony, and his stomach lining and his nose is like throbbing with veins, and you see Stimpy's skull. You know the shot I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
they rip Stimpy's. Yeah.
So
they rip Stimpy's skin off, and his skin kind of crawls across the yard.
Yeah.
And the way his skin is drawn, I think, they were definitely trying to copy that look for this old sequence in this episode.
Yes, but what I'm saying is what was so interesting for me as a kid was this. So you have a gag where skin gets ripped off. Now, to me, so you have the anticipation, hey, I'm going to rip your skin off, the skin rip, and then the result of that, you see Stimpy standing there without skin, blinking funnily in a skeleton guts form. They don't show it here, so they rip it off and they keep that part off camera. I think there's one very badly painted digital gross out shot of like the man dog or something without skin, but it's not. It's just on screen for 1 second.
It was so. It was so bad.
Part.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I didn't know what I was looking at, even though I knew what I was supposed to be looking at. I knew I was supposed to be looking at a classic Ren and Stimpy style gross painted close up of a man with skin who was wearing the skin of Ren, or wearing like a dog suit or something. I knew that's what I was supposed to be seeing, but it just didn't register with me like visually. Like it just didn't look good. It looked incoherent.
Yeah, because I feel like they're just too afraid to actually depict these things. They're always shying away. So they do a cartoon gag, but they never show the aftermath or the reaction to the pain or whatever, or the gross out or the horror or whatever, or the madness. They never show that part. That's weird to me, but
all the gross moments in the show are more suggested than committed to. And by the way, like. Obviously, like, gross painted close-ups was one of those things Ren and Stimpy was famous for, that they must have put on that checklist of things they were going to include for this. But they're so badly done in this reboot compared to the original show that I kept thinking that it looked more like they created a Ren and Stimpy gross up Snapchat filter and just like put that over basic drawings to try to make it look more painterly.
Yeah, I think that even like a show like Smiling Friends, which I think is really good as a modern day adult cartoon. I don't know what you think of Smiling Friends.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Right. They do stuff like that too.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They even do it better than this show. You know what I'm saying? And they also they embrace the medium. They are animators. They know what they're doing. They're intimately involved. They hire other animators. They mix and blend different animation styles and techniques. I like that a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's completely different than Ren and Stimpy, obviously, but I just thought I'd mention those guys real quick. Okay, let's get to that Christian joke, the dog. So Ren is now wearing the man skin, and then the man is wearing a dog skin, and he became a dog. I want to get to that point. You know there's a specific time code for when the dog stuff happens?
Yeah, it was 1622.
Oh, by the way, look. So this is supposed to be Ren without his skin, right? Because the guy is wearing Ren's skin. Now look what's skinless Ren just looks like himself, but slightly redder.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? Oh no, here's the dog.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like he's
a cute little guy. You're coming home with me. You're going to make a special little boy.
Let's watch this gag. I want to watch this full gag because it's so bad.
They're wise to us, man.
Right.
Hey, pal.
Oof.
Yo! Oof. Yo! Yo! Whoa!
Yeah, are you laughing? Is everybody laughing yet? Yeah.
Guys! Okay, so I think that was a pretty good illustration. Isn't this absolutely horrible? Well, that's horrible. What? People are going like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, let's call him Dog Jesus. And by the way, another thing you need to know, every human character in this is a BIPOC. That's something that I noticed. I noticed it immediately, but it was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to complain about this yet until it becomes egregious. And then I watched 3 or 4 episodes, and it's literally like 99% of the human characters, even in like the log. It's log. They make the children like brown and black.
Well, they updated for the times because even in the fake commercials that they do, everybody's a person of color now in every commercial.
Yeah,
so it's just like real life now.
Yeah, that's true. Unless they would do a burglar alarm commercial, the burglar would probably be white, I think. But But except for that, yeah, they're pretty reality accurate. Okay, so what would be another good episode to watch? Oh yeah. Maybe we should watch the entirety of Clear Toilet. I want to punch something if I just this idea is so stupid, dude. Fuck me. Okay, guys. So everybody's familiar with Log and the fake commercials. They thought they would try their hands at their very own. They thought they could do better than Spumco. So they came up with a little commercial spoof of their own with a spoof product. And it's called this is so womany. They thought this was funny, dude.
It's womany because it's about bathroom stuff, but not in a funny way.
Absolutely, the least funny bathroom stuff imaginable. Like they're like, what about this? What if it's like, okay, get this. It's a clear toilet that's see-through. Oh my god, Karen, you're positively mad. Let's just do it. Let's just put it in there. Clear toilet. People are gonna laugh. Like what? None of this is funny. Okay, look. Real quick, where does this fucking shit start? Just imagine this, right? Because now it's part of this ensemble. You have a couple of episodes, and then you have Clear Toilet. Now imagine this is just uploaded as its own, not even under Ren and Stimpy brand, which allows you to sort of like decouple it and look at it at its own merit, right? Imagine if somebody put all this effort into this joke, into Clear Toilet. You wouldn't even bat. You would just go, okay, what is this? Okay, whatever, click, pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing. Like, it's just a waste of budget on this mediocre idea.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I'm kind of glad I finally did watch this reboot is because it made me understand the original series better. And one of the things I understand better now is why they did those commercial parodies in the original series. They did them because the original show kind of takes place in a version of our reality, which has one foot in the 1950s, where it's kind of a retro, not a retro future, but a retro present. And that wasn't just done for its own sake. It was done because that was the kind of guy John Kay was. Like, he was a very old-fashioned guy who was into 50s pop culture. So those commercial parodies like Log with the jingles and stuff, and the more flat UPA style art in the commercials. Yeah, that was all of a piece of the original of what the show was about. It wasn't just fake commercials because fake commercials will be funny. But I don't think they thought about that at all. This was just another checklist thing of like, the original had fake commercials. We got to do fake commercials.
Yes, and I believe too, conceptually, John Kay was trying to recreate like the classic Saturday morning cartoon that he grew up with, probably in like the 50s or 60s or whatever, right? And I think they even tried to get like real toy commercials, and they weren't allowed. So then they were like, well, I want to maintain this feel, so we're just gonna come up with like weird fake products. And then there's probably some commentary in there too. I don't know, but it's just, it came from somewhere. It had a conceptual idea. It was embracing the medium and everything around it. I'm thinking of Twin Peaks, which did similar things. It was providing commentary on the television watching experience itself while making a TV show, you know what I'm saying? And John Kay was doing the same thing. It was a cartoon about cartoons, basically. Everything they did was about cartoons. The plots were about cartoons. The cartoon was about cartoons. The drawings were about cartoons. It was solving a problem in cartooning. Yeah. It's the most cartoony cartoon there is.
Yeah, it was a cartoon about cartoons to some degree, but not in an annoying, self-aware way.
No.
It's just
no. It's not like that. It's not like how, if you would tell somebody, oh, we got to make a cartoon about cartoons, it would be the most preachy, gay-ass, self-referential nonsense. Now, I'm saying like the way artists used to be, when people understood the medium is the message, as just
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like when real artists were in charge.
Twin Peaks is a good example because on some level it's kind of a little bit of a joke on soap operas, but it's also a real soap opera. Like, you can take it at face value as a soap opera too.
Yes, so they're embracing it. They're not like defying it. They're not like they're struggling to be they don't hate the source material. Like John Kay clearly loved that era. He loves cartoons, you know, so he's referencing the things he loves and he's goofing on some of the aspects. You know what I'm saying? He has reverence is what shines through, not hatred. You know what I'm saying? I think,
yeah, or even just ambivalence, because the feeling that I get from the humor on the Ren and Stimpy reboot is the same feeling I get from the humor on a lot of so-called adult cartoons on Adult Swim or Comedy Central or wherever, where it's like, you know, what's the point of view here? It's not really, it doesn't seem to care about anything. It doesn't seem to have strong opinions about anything. Its whole aim just appears to be mildly amusing and distracting for 22 minutes.
Yes.
Like there's nothing going on under the surface.
There's no vision. No point of view. You know what I'm saying? It's just bland. And I think very shallow humor, very superficial. And it sort of makes me think, I sent you that video about Jonathan Pajot, and because I'm starting to think that is there more cynical stuff going on, because a lot of these things are happening. Jonathan Pajot made a video about symbolism and propaganda, and he talks specifically, and he does a lot of. You can look this up. Maybe we'll watch it later on in the stream after the interview or after this review. Maybe we'll watch that video. And he talks about how new media. This is a video from 6 years ago, and he shows a bunch of movies like Wonder Woman, the Mad Max movie, and he shows specific themes about like the male patriarchal figure that these IPs are based on. They're getting toppled in the movie in subtle symbolic ways as a propaganda method to prop up the female or the brown or whatever, okay? This is what's happening. I didn't make this up. It's actually happening. And you see this with a lot of IPs also in gaming. They'll hook you in with like the first or the original, and then when you come back for the remake or the reboot or season 2 or 3, they'll bash the main cis heterosexual white male's skull in and replace him with a lesbian. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll just, all these reboots, and you see it with Marvel Comics, okay? Superman is now a gay, queer, BIPOC. The Hulk is Chinese. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a subversive method. He is. The Hulk is Chinese.
I kind of want to see Chinese Hulk, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. A Hulk. That's his name.
Yeah.
With an R.
I'm harking out.
The hark. But yeah, so But see, I'm wondering if there's an aspect of that where they're just I guess it's like a byproduct of the culture. So you have like this new corporate culture where everything's being run by women anyway. So you give them these IPs, and just you don't even have to tell them subvert this. I'm not saying there's like a guy that's literally telling them, hey, subvert this, but just by virtue of the Hollywood production culture nowadays, you're just automatically going to get stuff like this, you know, because Ren and Stimpy are not supposed to be like mouthpieces for feminism or whatever. And I don't even know if that's in here necessarily, but by proxy, there's going to be hints of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we were saying, the masculine humor of the original has been totally neutered out. But maybe this can be a segue. There, if we're still watching clips, there was one in the episode called "Bad Stimpy," where I swear to God, like every cartoon does this now. They have an episode where they meet a figure who is supposed to be like a toxically masculine figurehead, and then that figure is revealed to not be trustworthy or to be scheming, and then that has to be kind of renounced. Bad Stimpy, about 8 minutes, 10 seconds in, the yak, they totally just recycled the character design of the yaks from the original show.
Oh, there he is.
This guy, yeah.
You explain what's happening, the context of this scene.
Well,
just press play on
the episode starts. I mean, it's not like this complicated plot. I think people can probably get the gist of what's happening here.
Okay, so but you're saying we're just they're introducing a cis white toxic guy here.
Yeah, this is a cis white yak who is toxically masculine. Yeah.
Okay, let's see this.
Vroom goes the bike.
Oh, that was it.
Better humor there.
There it is.
We do all the tough stuff
cool.
here. Oh, hey, Max. That's tough, Max.
Oh. Yeah, didn't they do something like this in SpongeBob, where SpongeBob had to he had to enter like the tough guy saloon or something like that?
I mean, I don't think it was, I don't think it was bitter or resentful when SpongeBob did it, but I just think there's a lot of kids' cartoons. Somebody showed me a clip once from Gravity Falls where this happens, where like, yeah, the main characters meet somebody who is like macho, and then they're just made out to be a buffoon. But like, which doesn't sound that bad in of itself, but there's just a pattern of you see this in a lot of animated shows.
Yeah, admittedly, I haven't seen a lot of animated shows lately in the past 10 years, so I haven't caught on that pattern, but. Cool. So this looks very vector animated. This, the drawings are not that good.
Well, it's like this combination of the drawings aren't. He doesn't want to talk to his dad. This is a real women comedy moment.
We suppress our feelings.
Oh yeah. They're trying to teach men that it's okay to cry.
Hear that? Did you hear that? Yeah, men suppress their feelings. Classic humorous observation.
I'll do anything.
Well, you get the idea. But,
we got the idea.
Yeah,
Toxic
the drawings.
Masculinity.
Yeah, the drawings, speaking of which, they're this weird combination of like, they're not well constructed. They don't seem three-dimensional. But they're also not stylized in the way we think of like how a flat-looking drawing could be stylized in a cool way. So you get this middle ground where it's not good in either direction.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I feel like is there like a gag? I want to watch like a gag, like, just back to front, just to see
on
how
this
it
show?
just. Oh man. Okay, what is like a good time code that you have? Like something very cringe.
Well, let me look at my list of. Like I said, the most painful moments for me on this show were a lot of writer speak and writer humor. So not so much in the visual gag department.
And because there are none, but we can watch some of that stuff too.
Yeah, I thought one of the really bad ones was in that traffic episode we were talking about. Let me see.
Too Slow, Too Furious, which is a Fast and Furious reference, which is cringe in and of itself. Really? As if that has like cultural capital with non-retards, other than non-retard. Like, who?
Well, God, you want to talk about like cultural capital or hip references. So like I was 4 episodes. I had just finished this episode watching it because I had to marathon these, right? And I thought, okay, this is garbage, but I've kind of gotten into the rhythm of it, and it's not going to like with this. I know. So yeah, that was that. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to keep being shocked by how low this can go. Shit. Okay, but in this episode, Too Slow, Too Furious, they're trying to, they're in a traffic jam like we were talking about. And then at about 6 minutes and 55 seconds, they pick up a hitchhiker, and it's this like really drawn out writer speak type of gag, which I won't spoil if we're going to watch it.
Before we go to that part, I watched this episode, right? So they're going to be stuck in traffic. That is like the crux of the plot, okay? Now, what bothered me, this could be nitpicky, right? But the whole point is they're stuck. They're stuck in traffic, and they're going to go crazy, and they're going to be annoyed. But while I'm watching this, look, they're in a cabriolet. They're out in the open, okay? I was constantly thinking, if I was in charge of this, I would have put a roof on this car, and I would have zoomed in like they're stuck, like they're encapsulated in something. Like the choice to go with a cabriolet where they're open with the open sky, it completely takes away from the central conflict of them being stuck and angry of this claustrophobic moment of being stuck in traffic. You know what I'm saying? It's just... for some reason, that choice just irritated me. Like, how easy would it have been to just put a roof over this?
I don't know. Maybe you're thinking too visually. Maybe it was just too hard for them to draw and animate. So they went with the easier option of an open top.
Yeah, that would be because you have less layering and you don't have like a window in front of them, I guess, necessarily. But it's just like... it irritated me, annoyed me. It would have been such an easy fix, but such an easy addition. Okay, which was the time code where this where millennial speak happens?
At about 6:55, yeah, they pick up a hitchhiker.
How's about a game?
You can tell this is I recognize this drawing from something, you know what I'm saying? From a different episode.
Yeah, there's that vague sense of familiarity with a lot of these drawings.
Oh, this one. Okay, let's just let this play out. So here comes the hitchhiker.
Can I trouble you guys for a ride?
Back up, you mangy buzzard. We got somewhere to be. Now, Ren, that's no way to talk to someone in need.
Are y'all going to the radio station event?
Yeah, you can tell they're trying to do like the John K. woman style, but it feels like I don't know. It is. Yeah.
Well, just to comment on the women thing. It's okay. So the writers room was like 4/5 women, right? So I think there's more women characters in the show than there's ever been because they probably want to just get.
Oh wait, you're cutting out here.
For that, well,
you cut out for a second.
Oh, I was saying. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear you now?
Am I coming through? Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think there's more women. I think there's more.
Oh fuck!
Because the writers' room.
1 second, you're roboting. Let's see. 1 second. Let's see if it comes back real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're back. I think we're good. You're saying there's more women in the writers' room, so they're trying to do representation.
Yes, and all the women characters on the show are this weird combination of like they give them kind of attractive proportions on their bodies, but then the heads and the faces just like really bland and really not well drawn at all. Because look at this girl's expression. This is not a good drawing here.
Yeah, plus she has like a buzz cut and she has like piercings and stuff like that, and like a choker. So it's like like modern day women feminism type of vibes.
Yeah. It's not like the original Ren and Stimpy was ever associated with like memorable sexy girls on the original show, but that wasn't really like the focus of the show. Yeah, there's just like a lot of women in the Ren and Stimpy reboot. Every sense.
Yeah,
so
let's let this. Yeah, let's let this scene play out because this is going to be a millennial gag, right? Millennial writing on display.
Buckle your.
I know a shortcut.
Yeah,
buckle your
Didn't you say so before? Hop on in.
Oh, take this back. Now right, left, right, stop.
What the? I thought you were going to the radio station event.
I am. My name is Amanda Radio Station. My family's reunion's next door. Thanks so much for the ride, fellas. Mima Radio Station.
It's so beautiful to bring a family back together. That's it.
Oh.
Did you get it? Did you get that?
My name is Amanda Radio Station. I'm douche chilling. I have literal fucking goosebump douche
It's a good
chills.
why. Why? It's a good joke. It's a good gag.
Fuck.
She said she was. No, Sven. She said she was going to the radio station event, and she directed them back to their home where she lived next door, and her name is Amanda Radio Station. So the radio station event was her family reunion, and now they've been taken back to where they started from.
Oh, I see. Okay, now I'm starting to see.
Yeah.
But wait, okay.
No,
wait,
it's
stop.
good. It's good, right?
1 second. So she comes up to the car. I want to rewind this because why even is it radio station? Why would that? Because the gag is they think they found a way out, but it brings them back to the beginning. That's the gag. So they were like, okay, we need a gag where they get sort of like they're making a
they're trying to get to the radio station,
but
and
why
she knows a shortcut to the radio station event.
Oh, so they're from the beginning they wanted to get to the radio station. That was their goal. Okay, so then she goes, "You need to go to the radio. I know a shortcut to the radio station." But then I'm gonna punch my desk. Her name is Amanda Radio Station, and yeah, the family reunion is the radio station event.
So they thought Right. So you get it, right? Like they thought she was giving them a shortcut to the radio station event, but the radio station event was her family reunion because her last name, her family name is Radio Station. Her name is Amanda Radio Station.
That's just positively silly. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. That's
it's funny.
It's quite something. It's quite something. That should have been whoever came up with that gag in the writer's room should have been slapped and laughed out the door. You know what I'm saying? That should have been like, what the fuck are you even like? That's womany. This is womany writing, okay? We need to retire the term writer's cartoon. This is a woman's cartoon, okay? Because I'm willing to bet my kidneys that was written by a woman. All right. What if her name is? Get this. This is fucking crazy. Her name is actually Radio Station. Oh my god! And they're all like laughing.
Well, and there's a layer beyond that where because they're millennials, they all know that that's not funny or clever, but then that becomes part of why.
Yes, it's like meta irony. It's like we know it's not funny, but it's meant to be not funny.
Yeah. And this is like so much of a so-called adult cartoon humor to me is that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I mean, but I don't think I haven't seen a lot of Rick and Morty, but from what I've seen, I don't think that's the kind of joke that would be too out of place on Rick and Morty. More famous and successful show.
Yeah. But if it's all that, it's not that, because now you're comparing and contrasting to Ren and Stimpy and that type of shit that like post-irony, self-referential, not funny on purpose type of stuff is out of place.
Yeah, and entirely word-based. Like you could just be listening. You don't have to be watching the screen to understand to get this joke. You could be doing anything. It's really meant to be listened to, not experienced visually.
Yeah, absolutely right. And that is what's so jarring about this stuff. So you have some funny expressions going on, so you get tricked into, oh, I'm watching a Ren and Stimpy cartoon, but the expressions are taken from original layouts from the original show. And then it's just coded, and everything's based on this fucking writer's room gag. Well, it's not even gags. Like, what were you like? It's not even a joke. It's just nothing. Ugh.
It's woman humor.
It is.
The look of the show is kind of. I mean, if they could have gotten away with it, I think the producers of the reboot would have been fine if this looked like Family Guy. But I think they knew they couldn't get away with that. But they didn't want it to look any better than it had to. It just had to be able to pass for Ren and Stimpy at a quick glance.
Yes, that's what I said. It's like Ren and Stimpy in name only. Do we have another gag like this? Because this is good. I think we need to show at least one more at least, because we did the Jesus dog one, which is atrocious. Amanda Radio Station. I literally just got chills again just saying that. That's so fucking stupid. God damn it. Does that make me angry? It's so bad. Fuck. I'm going to grab a drink real quick. I have a mini fridge right next to me. It's going to take me 1 minute. Maybe you can read the chat or something. 1 second. I'll be right back. My apologies.
Hey, Chad. I'm afraid I can't read you. So while we're chatting, I'm going to look at my notes and try to find one more really excruciating example.
And I'm back. All right. So what is another?
Okay, good. Because I couldn't even see the chat, so I'm glad you're back.
Okay, good.
One more really bad writer speak type joke.
Or anything that's just atrocious.
Okay.
Fuck, dude. Radio Station.
It's hard to pick. Okay. Well, here's one that's writer speak and also LA comedy writer humor. In the episode Squatters at 1637. And this is actually from the episode that was the first one to leak back in May of last year. It was Oh Hell No and Squatters. Yeah, there's a moment in Squatters that 1637 where the neighbor shows up.
Can we also revisit that one? Is that in this episode maybe? Because one of the leaked things, remember that gag where it's like, Yeah, when your teeth turn into piano keys, you can turn them back by hitting your face with a skull or something.
Well, I think there's kind of like two memes that have been based on this reboot that people have only seen the clips of, but like they're so bad that they became memes. One of them is the piano teeth smashing your skull, turning back into regular teeth thing. You know, we showed that in the last time we talked. Yeah. But the other one is the episode where Ren is at his high school reunion and the door flies open and this generic looking character says, "Hey guys, it's me, Robbie Stumps. Remember?" And then he it's just this unfunny
I know. Yeah, that's so. And it's just, I'm Robbie Stumps. Isn't it random? And then he leaves.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Okay, let's we'll do. Oh hell no! What is the time code? Or which one is it? Squatters or?
Squatters at about 1637. Is that they're trying to get this woman to leave her house.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. That's okay. So I think by now people know what we're talking about when we talk about writer speak and how that was a very writer speak kind of scene. But also just the fact that the tag at the end is that he was an actor who was working for exposure.
Yes.
Like people who don't live in Hollywood don't know or give a shit about that kind of stuff. It is entirely just LA people in a writer's room making each other laugh with jokes about what it's like to live around actors in Hollywood.
Yes,
it's
a normal person
myopic.
would not even get that fucking stupid. Oh, I'm working for exposure. Oh, typical. Ha 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 ha. Fucking hell. And the fact that she says, I love falling to sleep to Foghorns. What was it? What was the name of the album? Just so terrible.
Well, speaking of contemporary references, she calls it "Now That's What I Call Foghorns." When's the last time you heard a joke about like "Now That's What I Call Music"? That is some old shit.
I don't even know what that is. I'm from the Netherlands. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay. In America, there was this series of cheesy compilations of pop music called "Now That's What I Call Music." But
there you go.
This is like back in the early. I think the last time I saw a commercial for that was in the early 2000s. I don't know if they're still making them anymore, but it's millennial humor. It's a millennial reference.
Fuck, man. That's terrible. Okay, do we have another time code?
Yeah, sure.
Let me pick one.
Okay, let me pick from one that you wouldn't have seen. Okay, well, I mean, do we want to keep being misogynistic or do we want to be homophobic? Because I've got one that's
some
woman humor, and then okay, so this one's a little bit more gay than female. In I Dream of Stimpy at 1856. So this is an episode where they find a genie lamp and Stimpy is wasting his wishes. And this is also a good opportunity to mention that like the genie, and then in the episode Oh Hell No, God is voiced by what sounds like a gay black man.
Of course.
In this and in this genie episode, it's voiced by some British guy, possibly gay or maybe just British. But it seems like these are supposed to be guest voices that maybe you would know if you were one of the women in the writing room. But I don't know who these people are. But they obviously brought them in. Somebody recognizes them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like celebrity voices. You're thinking?
It's like celebrity voices, but for celebrities who I don't know or care about. And, you know.
All right. So what's the time code for this?
Someone. 1856.
1856. A great year too.
This genie character gets a lot of dialogue because he's a guest voice in this episode.
And they copy pasted another one of the characters because this is the walrus that goes, "Call the police," right?
Call the police walrus is in a lot of these, I think, just because it's like, you know, a famous scene. But they practically turned him into a supporting character in this.
Yeah.
Happy, manage.
I've got to be honest here. When I show up, things typically turn into what I like to call a madcap magical adventure. And I don't think I've ever met someone so utterly basic.
I know who this is. Yeah, this is that black British guy with the afro. He does a travel show. He's in that show, the IT Crowd, I think. That black guy. Richard,
oh, okay. I'm glad you know who he is.
I was like, wait, Richard. Yes, so he thought, oh my god, I'm going to be in Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, this guy. I think that's him. I'm going to be in Ren and Stimpy. Well, guess what? It sucked. Okay, let's see here. So what is the? Okay, let's rewind it a little bit. So this is just, what is it? An example of gay homo stuff.
I've got to be honest here.
Well,
when I show up, things typically turn into what I like to call a madcap magical adventure. And I don't think I've ever met someone so utterly basic. And I used to hang out with single-celled organisms.
And I'm in a cartoon.
So, well done.
Why, thank you.
That was it. That really irked me. That really annoyed me because it's. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's gay. I don't know if that's an example of gay humor. But what it's an example of is the self-awareness of writer humor, where he's saying, you know, when I show up, it usually causes what I like to call madcap situations, and then just that whole block of text is tagged with the, you know, you're so basic, and I used to hang out with single-celled organisms. I mean, quote unquote jokes like this aren't really meant to make anybody laugh. What they're meant to do is impress you with their cleverness, because that's what they're doing in the writer's room, is trying to impress each other with their cleverness, not to, you know, make you laugh on a gut level.
Yeah, plus it wasn't even particularly clever, you know what I'm saying? And it is pretty gay. It's like a fucking gay horse, you know. Fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's and then like, yeah, they copied the Mr. Horse design, but for their genie character. Like, would it have killed you to come up with a?
Yeah, just make it fucking genie. Yeah, what the fuck? Make something new. Yeah, and
no, but it's Mr. Horse.
Gullible Fool says yes. It is sitcom humor. That's true, because the people that made this are Z-list sitcom writers. So yeah, Ren and Stimpy became a shitty sitcom without any visual gags, and the odd time that they do have a visual gag, they don't show the aftermath, they don't show the reaction. They're punchline-less slapstick. You know what I'm saying? Slapstick without the pain. It's terrible.
Yeah, the writer's room, I looked up the writers on this a little bit, and I think for a lot of them, this was their first show, which is very much in keeping of the way that TV treats animation, which is that if you want to be a TV writer, you can use some crappy cartoon sitcom as like your entry level job, your stepping stone onto writing for a real show, for a real sitcom.
Yeah, like fuck it. Yeah, we got this Ren and Stimpy property, but to me, it's just like, if it's all so cynical, I just feel like they should have just released this. Like, could it have hurt that badly?
Well, I don't know what's going on, obviously, but they almost released it in like some Latin American and European territories a few months ago, or maybe even last year. But then like they decided not to at the last second. So who knows what they're deciding to do with it at this point? Because the more time elapses, I think the less likely it is that this will get released officially.
Yeah. Plus, we can safely say that this is the death nail for Ren and Stimpy. There's never, ever going to be any Ren and Stimpy stuff after this. That's basically a wrap.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah. God. Well, it really. Wow. It was a year ago, almost a year ago. It was back in July. Yeah. It was supposed to come out in outside of America, and then didn't at the last second, which is crazy.
All right. Do you have one more clip that we can watch, and then we'll cap it off? We'll give our final thoughts on the Ren and Stimpy reboot.
Well, okay. Here's maybe a more interesting one to look at. In the Jaws parody episode that I mentioned, they do their attempt at one of the at a Ren and Stimpy style psycho freakout scene, and it's not like horrible in of itself, but I think if you watch this, you can see what's missing. So if you look at Now See Here,
got it, yeah,
which I think is episode 5 at 6 minutes 39 seconds, the setup is that they're supposed to be going crazy from scurvy. So this is supposed to be like
the creaky music is still going, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, no, you're right. Yeah, this is a mirage.
Oh, there it is. That was the gag.
Hey, get a room, you two. That's disgusting. This used to be a decent ocean.
Huh?
Oh.
What the fuck?
They walked away. I guess that's the joke. The fish have legs. That's the joke.
Well, the joke should be that they're more. This used to be a decent ocean, so they should be indecent, but to just have legs has nothing to do with anything. How is that a punchline to that?
I think it's supposed to be funny because they're walking away instead of swimming away in disgust. I don't know, but you can see what I mean about how that little
Yes.
those hallucinations were supposed to be like a moment from the old show, but there's just no impact to it.
No, there's no impact, and the way they approached this was like, random. It's random. You know what I'm saying? Like shot for shot.
Yeah,
which random.
Okay,
gag.
so we are talking about women humor again.
It is.
Yeah, randomness plays a big factor in women humor because they don't want to be too offensive or too edgy or too anything. So what they will be is silly. And
Yeah, they'll be silly and random.
Remember in Hermit Ren when Ren is freaking out and like he looks at his hands and he imagines that they're melting? Like a really cool, freaky bit of animation where you see the flesh melting off of his hands and you see the bones underneath.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they needed to have something like that for this sequence, but instead it's silly and random. They imagine that they're hand puppets. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. So the moment where it's like hand puppets and it reveals that they're on the floor, that's where it just goes like lol, random, silly. Like they don't actually want to disturb you, right? So they know they need to have a madness scene because that's what happens in Ren and Stimpy, but they don't know how to utilize a scene like that, how to approach it, and how to make it effective. So it's just lol, random cuts, and it's not actually disturbing.
Yeah.
Whereas in Ren and Stimpy, if you're going to do a madness scene, you're going to want to make the audience feel the madness. And that doesn't happen at all. This wasn't madness.
Yeah, and it's not really directed. It's kind of just set up by like a two shot with some gross ups. But
Yeah.
you know what that reminds me too, something I wanted to mention.
Real quick, you know what the gag should have been, by the way, if this was a man's cartoon? So he is...
What?
The punchline is at the end of the hallucination, he gets like beckoned by the mermaids. He's kissing the mermaid, and then it cuts to reality, and it's just this cartoony, not gross looking squid, right? This should have been like Mr. Kowalski in a bikini, you know what I'm saying, from the original show, like a big fat guy or that big fat ugly woman in the Rescue Dogs when they're like the fire dogs. Remember that big fat?
Yeah, Mrs. Buttloves. Yep.
Yeah, it should have got to reality. And it's like a big fat. It's a guy or something that he's kissing.
They're not gonna. I don't know why you thought this version was going to have a joke about a fat woman in it. But
Again, but that would have made it funny. And again, of course, they're not going to make the joke. He's kissing a man, and that's gross. Because of course, we should all love kissing men, you know what I'm saying? That's just cool now. So none of this stuff, you cannot have any punchlines, because anything that's supposed to be funny is... Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's also a bit like what you were saying earlier about how the original show understood classic cartoon humor, but then would kind of tweak it and modernize it, because in one of the... space episodes of season 1, like Commander Hoek and Cadet Stimpy, there is a gag which is a classic cartoon setup of like Ren imagines that he sees this beautiful Chihuahua woman and he goes to kiss her, and then what it really is like this, but it's not just something that isn't a beautiful Chihuahua woman. It's like this hideous amoeba that like starts to suck his flesh off.
Yes, yes, which he got. I remember because John referenced that book that had those weird alien illustrations, alien landscapes, I believe the book is called. Yeah, that's fucking disturbing, and it makes it fun. That makes it funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ren needs to see that what he's actually kissing is something completely hideous, not just a generic cartoon octopus.
Yeah, and the cartoon octopus had no sense of like hideousness to it. It was just like you could. Let me see that fucking design again, because there's nothing gross about that. Like the punchline, look this.
Yeah,
what is worse about
whatever.
Oh, ooh. So stupid, man. These women, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to watch more clips, or are you like? Because it's been 2 hours. I don't want to keep you if you're busy.
Well, I've abandoned my family to do this, so
right.
I'm never going back. Yeah.
All right, then let's just keep doing
where
this.
I live now.
Okay, cool. Let's just go through this whole thing then.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if I could mention something else too, the tone of this reboot is so weird because when they announced it back in 2020, it was announced that it would be for Comedy Central. So they announced it as like a new Ren and Stimpy show that would be for adults. But John K tried his version of that, and like you said, he tried to make it as extreme as possible. And then I remember when they were saying like we're going to get Bob Camp back and Bill Ray. I remember thinking, oh, so this will almost be like the game's adult party cartoon, and that could be interesting.
That would have been really interesting.
But what the tone of this version winds up being is like a neutered version of the original show, where the quote-unquote adult humor is pretty much limited to like a few mild cursings. Like Ren will say "God damn," which obviously they couldn't have done on Nickelodeon. But like the weird thing is, this show feels like a less of a show for adults than the original Nickelodeon show did because of how sedate it is.
That is so weird. So they had free reign to do whatever they want because the target audience this time around is adults. But you don't end up with adult party cartoon, which it could have been, and then you can just see that is a direct result of self-censorship and political correctness and women, obviously. So you get this neutered, nothing thing, because there is some jokes like in the beginning, the first episode, like when they're in that human suit, like Stimpy's nose pops out of the zipper as if it's a cock, right?
There's a little bit of that stuff. Yeah, but like it's pretty few and far in between. They could have. This was for Comedy Central. They could have gone so much further, I'm sure. But self-censorship, like you said, they weren't interested in going very far at all. They went less far than the original show ever did.
Okay. So do they make them? Because they could have done this. I don't know if they did. Do they make them straight up a gay couple then in this? Because you would have expected that to happen at least.
That's a good point. No, I was kind of shocked that they didn't. This has fewer gay references. This has zero gay reference to Ren and Stimpy. They're not gay in this at all.
That's odd.
Whereas like one of the things the original show was famous for was like slipping in little references to how they're like a gay couple. And then obviously in adult party cartoon, they, took that to the extreme and just made it blatant, which wasn't as funny. But in this, they're not even gay at all. You'd think that would have been something that they would have, put in to be LGBTQ, positive, but they didn't even do it.
And by the way, the reason John K leaned into that is because it became part of like public perception. Plus, there is kind of this trope where cartoon characters will be roommates together, like Bert and Ernie or something, and then people will project onto that, like, hey, what, are they gay? And then when that started happening in the 90s, I remember there were like newspaper articles about this in the 90s when Ren and Stimpy was at its peak. We're like, are they a gay couple? And then John K just leaned into it like, oh yeah, sure, whatever you want them to be. Like, it's not explicitly like John K envisioned these two guys to be gay, you know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah, well, I think the answer he gave to that once was like they are whatever is funniest in the moment. which I think is consistent because they're not gay all the time, but sometimes they are if it's funny. If like they're under a mistletoe and Ren bats his eyes at Stimpy, they'll do that because it's funny.
Yeah, similarly to like a Bugs Bunny gag where people go, "Is Bugs Bunny trans?" Because for the gag, he'll dress up like a woman because he's just a zany psycho. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that he's trans. Like people like to project their politics onto this type of stuff. And by the way, look, and then people are also like, "Oh, are they in an abusive gay relationship?" Because no, they're slapstick. They're like the Three Stooges. Are the Three Stooges gay? Are they like a gay throuple? Are they having gay sex? Like, why does it even have to come into the equation? You know, they're just friends. All right, they're just buddies. But then, of course, in Adult Party cartoon, he really leaned into that part of the lore, which is community build lore. It's like the fan base projected that onto it, and then he incorporated that into the show, and he just makes them like have pretty blatant like gay sex innuendo in that show.
Well, look, I enjoy the log sawing scene because it is what it is, and you know, the gayness aside, it's like it's actually kind of a nice bit of animation, like animating these two silly cartoon characters having sex and like the little rhythms and stuff that they do. It's like, oh, that is like how a real couple has sex. So I admire it on that level, but
and look, all the drawings and all the animation, all the drawings and all the animation in Adult Party cartoon is top notch and awesome, and it sort of like evolved the show too. It wasn't the same as the previous shows, it's the original season. And it's sort of like build on that. You know what's really
odd? I also wanted to mention this. The human characters who we've been seeing on the reboot, don't they kind of look like Spumco era characters from like the late 90s or early 2000s, like in the commercials that John Kay was doing, like for Old Navy? I don't know if you've ever seen those ones. Or did you ever see the Ripping Friends show that he did?
Oh yes, I saw. Well, I've never watched that, but I've seen some of the clips and stuff. I am familiar with it. The human characters on the Ren and Stimpy reboot kind of look like that, which is just strange because you got to wonder like how much old John, not just Ren and Stimpy, but John Kay stuff they were looking back through to try to design the look of this show. Yeah. Look, there's some good stuff. Like, for instance, look, if we want to be charitable and say some good things, what they do with the title cards, I think, is kind of original because they have like moving image title cards that it's look. I don't know if this one's going to be good because we haven't seen it. Wait, I'm not talking about the intro, but and by the way, this drawing, where is it? This is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's an original drawing. That's not copied from the original series, and it's not bad. But that's not what the show is about.
No. That's terrible, this one. Wait.
Yeah, that's one of those bad attempts at a old-style gross-up.
Yeah, this is really bad.
Yeah, doesn't that look more like a Snapchat filter than a real painting?
Yeah, I'm like,
or not even Snapchat, like an AI filter almost. It's like, you know, you asked an AI to generate a Ren and Stimpy gross up, and that's what it gave you.
Yeah, but it also shows that whoever did this, they don't really have a great knowledge of like cartooning and form and construction. It's just really blubbery and like, you know, it's just not really a great painting, to be honest. I think like they made the background artist who's like proficient in backgrounds do a character. I think that might have been where. So that's like moving elements. Oh, this one's really simple. All right, this one was really simple.
Yeah,
I kind of like that.
I know what you mean, but
yeah,
I know this is a parody of a shot from Jaws. They just get right into it right away. But the title cards. Well, the title cards pissed me off. I think I mentioned this in my review video from a year ago on my channel. Like the title cards on the original show were a big deal because number one, having a title card was not something that was done in cartoons, and it made it feel more like you were watching an old style cartoon. Yep. But and also the title cards were an opportunity. The credits, yes, a way to showcase, the people the artists who were making it, and obviously that's not in this version.
Yeah, yeah. It was harkening back to like Merry Melodies, like old Golden Age cartoons that did have title cards.
Yeah, they told you not only who the director was, but who the animators were, and you know, in Ren and Stimpy's case, they would tell you who the storyboard artists were, and then you would kind of like learn the different styles, and you could see the different artists' styles in different episodes.
Yeah,
who worked on them.
I even remember as a kid, I'd be like, "Oh, this is going to be a good one because this guy's on it." Remember, even as a little fucking 7-year-old Dutch kid. But look, let me show. Okay, so obviously they're not putting the credits in here, which is stupid, and that's kind of like defying the original and like the whole. Well, it's not a creator-driven cartoon, so who are they going to put on there? Jaffy, what's his name again? Jesse Jaff. But I wanted to show you this because this title card, like visually, I think it's pretty cool. Like this, look, for instance, for this episode, right?
Oh yeah, this one's one of the better ones. Yeah, what they do there. Yeah.
And the one with the car, look, this is pretty cool. Whoop, and then you go into the episode. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
I like
this
that.
is how the episode starts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then this one was also pretty
so they get
good.
your hopes up for 5 seconds before the episode starts.
Yes. Here, look, this one was also good. Look, the title card for this. Title.
Oh,
and
nice
this should have
color
had
there.
the credits. That should have had credits for the people who actually made this. But yeah, R.I.P. Jim Smith. When I was Googling who was involved with this, he was credited for a bunch of this stuff, which I doubt is accurate.
Are you sure? I don't think. I think that's bad information because
but
they
might
did
have been
not.
ChatGPT. Might have been ChatGPT that told me that.
Well, thanks, ChatGPT. No, pointedly, they didn't ask. Pointedly, they didn't ask back a single person from Spumco to work on this. It was only games people who got invited back.
Yeah,
who they didn't even keep.
So sad, man. All right, do we have another?
You think about what could have been.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah. You think about what could have been, because I kind of had my hopes up a little bit when they started inviting the games guys back, because I thought, well, you know, they did a revival of Looney Tunes called Looney Tunes Cartoons, which I haven't seen a whole lot of, but I mean, they are made like real cartoons.
There's some of them on this page. There's some of them down here. We might be able to watch some of them because there's new. Is that the one? That's the one where like they have the design of Bugs Bunny and he has the yellow gloves again. That one.
Yeah, they use some older and like a more Bob Clampett 1940s.
Yeah, because that's
Daffy.
really good.
Yeah,
because I clicked through this while I was watching this garbage, and I clicked on one of those like the Daffy Duck. Yeah, they look like the old school designs, and it was actually really good, especially in contrast with this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's so
right,
good.
And So if Looney Tunes cartoons was decent, I thought, well, hey, maybe they could reboot Ren and Stimpy, and if they put as much effort into it as they did that Looney Tunes reboot, it could be all right. Obviously, they didn't, but
obviously
it could have been something.
Yeah,
it didn't have to suck.
Let's watch another one of these clips. Let's get another example of how horrendous the show is.
Okay, well, I might have just one left, but this is another example of writer speaking women humor. But I will say that in the episode "Stupid and Afraid," this is one of the ones that doesn't suck quite as much as the other ones, because it's kind of a premise that you could imagine maybe being on the original show, because Stimpy decides that he wants to be an outdoor cat. And so he goes outside. And what makes it a little less painful than the others is that most of the gags are visual, because he's mostly by himself and he doesn't have people to talk to. And Ren gets stuck outside with him eventually too, but this was one of the slightly less worse ones. However, the clip that I'm going to suggest at 9 minutes and 12 seconds is where all of a sudden it gets real writer speaky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get it.
9:12.
So there's them. They're outside.
Yeah, they're stuck outside. They can't get into the house because of Ren's security system that he installed.
All right.
Wake up.
She's gonna scream.
Wake up! That blinding light. Mother Nature?
I'm Courtney Nature. Mother Nature was my mother.
Well, what happened to her?
Mostly SUVs. Look, I've been communing with the rocks, trees, breeze, clouds, whatever, and we all find you mad annoying and think it's time you go back inside.
Thanks,
my God.
genius. We didn't think of that.
Hell of a security system.
Oh,
Did
no.
you try a wrecking ball yet?
Of course I tried a wrecking ball. What do I look like? An amateur?
That usually works.
Mother Nature, can you help us go home?
Again, not my mom,
It's Courtney.
but I can try.
You ruined our house.
What must that feel like?
Some climate activism.
Yeah, some politically correct environmentalist humor.
Yeah, this. That's such French. It's really French to me. And this drawing stolen from whatever old episode.
That's a very familiar looking drawing there.
Yeah. Also, Stimpy, this bounce is probably traced directly when he does this, when he gets happy. That's a new drawing. Okay. What?
Well, actually, that's a callback to when they find magic mushrooms earlier in the episode.
Nice. Tubular. Yeah, go ahead. You're about to...
another-
that was the troll. Courtney Nature sucked dick. Courtney Nature sucks a dick. Sucked. Fuck.
That's
man.
another. That's another. Let me get a voice acting job for one of my friends kind of scene on the show.
100%.
But you know, there is a little scene where they find magic mushrooms, and I think they copy some drawings from the original show for it. But it's another wasted opportunity because, like, you know, if you have your characters on drugs in a scene, you could do anything. You could just go nuts, and it's
You want to have something like the Rob Zombie scene in the Beavis and Butthead movie, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It could be like a real set piece, but it's like everything else. It's real phoned in and perfunctory and just kind of a very conservative drug freak out scene.
Yeah, even like I kind of want to watch that, but even when like, oh, you destroyed our house, it barely looked any different. It just the roof was a little askew. It's like it's visually visually this whole thing is lacking. Okay, I want to see the trip scene. Where does that happen about?
Well, I don't have a time code for that. It's
We can
further
find
in.
Probably around here. This stolen.
Not quite yet. There's copied.
It's from the intro from the original. That's how the original begins.
Huddling there. Yeah. And this episode is one of the slightly better ones because Kelly Armstrong storyboarded it.
Those poses also. Those previous poses also.
Poses that aren't being stolen have some decent quality to them.
I want to see them trip.
Yeah, a little further in. Further.
This one's stolen.
Drawing.
This one's stolen. Drawing stolen.
Yeah.
Hell, man.
As that what?
Oh, there we are.
Yeah, here they have great drawings.
This is also frame for frame traced. This.
Yeah, pretty underwhelming drug scene, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty. Dude, drugs, weed, bro, dude, weed. Yeah. Do they smoke weed in this? That would have been a thing that they could have done in this. It was for adults.
Yeah, Well, it would have been good LA humor too, talking about getting your medical marijuana card.
Yeah, microdosing for your mental health. And your medical marijuana card. Yeah, they do a thing about like your emotional, what is that called? Your emotional guard dog or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, there's a joke about having an emotional support animal.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, and an extremely woman comedy thing too is in the last episode. Ren Stimpy takes Ren to a health spa, So wackiness abounds in a health spa there. And another like I couldn't choose a clip from this episode because it's really just the whole episode, but there's an episode where they go traveling and the whole episode is them at an airport. And even just the idea of like airport humor rings as really LA Hollywood writer humor because those people have to spend a lot of times in airports. People don't get on. Yeah, air travel is not like this common experience to. Maybe it used to be more when people could afford to travel more, but yeah, airport jokes. Just
Dude, that's
really
a whole that's a whole thing. It became sort of like a trope when you listen to like comedian podcasts. One, they're always pontificating about the industry and what booker is good and what comedy club is accommodated. It's like, shut the fuck up with this inside baseball. Be funny, asshole. And then another trope is that they're always talking about the travel and how bad airports are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like become a trope to the point where they need to almost write on their hand, do not talk about airports because it's so hack. So you had to write a whole episode about that and all the problems. So is there black fucking TSA agents that are rude in this episode? No, probably not.
I think the TSA
is a white guy.
Is a yak. It's the yak. It's the yak again. Yeah.
Who is the stand-in for a toxic white male? They've established that. You know.
Oh, yeah. So it's not. So he's not black, right?
No, he's not black. Coded. No. But should we just watch that episode? Fuck it. They're short, anyways, right?
The whole episode. I mean, they're like 11 minutes each, but they also feel like they're 11 hours because they're excruciating. I don't know if I could do a whole episode.
Okay, well, watch that. I need to take a quick piss break, though. Are you feeling like you need to take a quick break, like 5 minutes, real quick?
Yeah, we can take 5, and yeah, sure, take 5.
Yeah, guys, we'll take 5. We'll be right back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. I need to take a quick pee. Here's the break screen. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hit like. Go tell your friends. Oh, wait, that's not the one. Where is it? Where's my break screen? Oh, here it is. Test. Oh, nope. Yep. All right. And we're back. At least I am. Spum, are you there with me?
I'm back. Yep.
Awesome. All right. We took a quick break. I just walked past. We have a nest of kittens here. And apparently they just learned how to poo because their entire cage is filled with diarrhea. So my wife is going to have a fun time when she wakes up with that. Anyways, yeah, let's. What is the next one that we should go over? Because I really want to make this like a comprehensive review of this reboot.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, and it's probably for the best that we don't watch a whole episode if you're worried about copyright struck. So
oh yeah, you're right.
we should
You're
probably
right.
just stick to clips anyways. Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Well, I think I might only have. Well, I had an example of another half-hearted Ren freakout scene, but we sort of looked at that already.
Mm-hmm.
There's, in the did you get as far as the Christmas episode, the mother of all, or Yaxmas, the mother of all Yaxmas
Wait, let me
episodes?
see. Which episode is that?
Mother of all Yaxmases. I thought this is a weird premise for an episode because.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Ren Stimpy.
I did see that.
Yeah, this was a weird premise that Stimpy has a mom that was like an adoptive mother that Ren never knew about, and he's got the hots for her.
Oh, cool! I didn't know about that.
She shows up at about 14:03, and I thought the scene there is like a good example, not just of how the quote unquote hot women on the show, or the girls who are supposed to be sexy, aren't their faces are like so generically drawn that it doesn't, there's no impact to it.
We're talking about this one here, this woman.
Yeah. This is Stimpy's adoptive mother that Ren somehow never knew about, who's shown up for Yaxmas.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be the sexy lady.
Give your mama a squeeze.
And again, like
I brought your favorite.
the body proportions are, I guess, attractive, but it's certainly not like the Powdered Toast Man assistant from the original show.
No.
I told you, no boiling sausage when I'm trying to.
I was about to go auga, but I'm like, surely they're not going to go that cliche, but they did.
For every time my eyes fell out, I'd have 2 cents.
You're Stimpy's mama?
I am. He was so cute when he was a kitten. I decided to adopt him in the legal son way instead of the cat way.
Did they bring Sven Hoek back or no?
Mama, Ren won't
No, they missed their chance.
Why wouldn't they bring him back? If they bring back the walrus, the horse, the alligators.
What's fucking weird is they even bring back Haggis McHaggis. Remember him?
Oh, that guy sucked. That was more of a games guy. Well, sort of where they really brought him.
Yeah, not a funny character, but yeah, they had it was kind of weird and random which characters they chose to bring back for cameos in this.
Powdered Toastman is in this, right?
Well, that's another episode that I saved a time code from, because the premise of the Powdered Toast Man episode is that they're making Powdered Toast Man the movie, but the joke is that Powdered Toast Man has been in a coma for decades, so they have to make the movie by like puppeting his unconscious body. And I wasn't sure, but I think maybe they did that because like Gary Owens, the actor who voiced Powdered Toast Man in the original series, who has a really distinctive voice that everybody, can recognize. He's been dead for a long time. So I was thinking, like, did they have him be in a coma because the original voice actor is dead? But then he does have a few lines of dialogue towards the end of the episode. It's really, confusing and unfunny. But the time code that I saved from the Powdered Toast Man episode was just that, okay, so they do this writer humor thing where like they will mention something early in the episode and then pay it off, quote unquote, much, much later. And it's like
callback.
You weren't supposed to, you weren't expecting them to pay that off, but they do, and that's part of why it's supposed to be funny. Robbie Stumps is one of those jokes, because early in that class reunion episode, Stimpy says something like, and we're going to see all of our old friends, except for Robbie Stumps. I sure hope he's not there. So then later when Robbie Stumps comes in and announces himself, you're supposed to be laughing partly like, oh, I remember that from earlier in the episode. I didn't think that was going to pay off in any way. So what they do in the Powdered Toast Man movie episode is Ren makes a reference to having blown the budget of the movie on the opening credits sequence, and that's why the special effects are so cheap and the rest of it. So then at the very end, just before the credits of the Powdered Toast Man episode, they show you the expensive credits sequence, which I can't even remember what the joke is supposed to be. It's just like a James Bond style credits sequence. Well, if you go to 1930, that's where it starts.
All right, so the joke is they blew everything on the credits, and then 19.
Right, so this is supposed to be like
dead.
Yeah. So at the end of the episode, you get to see it, and hilarity will ensue, I'm sure.
I have a 4 p.m. Reiki session that I'm going to miss. Come on, Stimpy.
Okay, Ren.
He has a Reiki session, by the way.
This.
I think I remember seeing some of this online.
Oh, okay.
Or it might have been something else. This. So it's like a Weekend at Bernie's style gag.
Yeah.
But
and then I guess this is supposed to be. Then I guess this is supposed to be funny because it's like a James Bond credits sequence about Powdered Toast Man, but it just goes on and on and on, and like there's nothing funny.
I mean, they did waste the whole animation budget on this sequence, it seems.
Yeah.
Is that the meta joke?
I don't even want to give them that much credit.
That they actually wasted the budget on this?
Oh yeah, and fucking Waffle Woman. They reference Waffle Woman from the game's Powdered Toast Man episode. It's really unexpected, but also like the fact that they would reference something like that makes you wonder if somebody on the somebody cared. Like somebody worked on this who liked the original. I mean, it was probably somebody in the art department because they don't reference. They don't say Waffle Woman. It's just like if you know the reference, it's there. If you know the original
but maybe
show.
it's just like, okay, what women characters are in the original that we can pull out and elevate? Maybe something like that. Let's make Waffle Woman.
They didn't elevate her.
It's
basically just a background joke.
I
get They could have brought back Waffle Woman if they wanted to. But
I recognize this from a GIF. This drop. Wait, this?
Oh.
This. Dude. Wait. 2D water drop GIF. I recognize this exact animation from a GIF. Wait, is it this one? Well, it's gonna take me a while to find the exact one, sadly. But it's one of these. I've seen it in one of these things. One of this.
Oh, yeah.
It's the exact.
That does look like it.
But I've seen that exact one. I recognize it. But anyways, I feel like somebody.
What are they gonna do? Animate? What are they gonna do? Animate a new drop of water?
Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's just random. Oh wait, let's watch the Jaffy thing. Did you see this even?
No, only not as good.
Awesome.
Institute of Technology.
Jaffy technology. Wait, what?
Jaffy. Institute of Technology.
Jaffy Institute of Technology. So this is.
Yeah, it's funny. See, it's funny because she calls it an Institute of Technology, but it's a production company.
Yeah, dude, that's like mega ironic, post-ironic, random, lol. Epic bacon.
And the graphics are all Lisa Frank.
Yeah, horrible. Okay, do we have another one?
Dude, I think we have watched all of the time codes that I wrote down. Of particularly bad moments.
I think we ran the gamut. We watched it all. I think we did a pretty comprehensive look at this horrendous show. All thanks to Jenny Jaffy. So yeah, what are the final thoughts? I guess our final review. I think we gave it sort of a fair shot. Well, I wouldn't call it maybe a fair shot, but
I think we covered all the important stuff. I will add one more art comment. Ren looks horrible on the show. Ren often looks like Jiminy Man. Do you know what I'm talking about? But there was this in joke with the Ren and there was this in joke with the Ren and Stimpy artists where like Ren was hard to draw well. So if you drew him a little bit off, he would his head shape would start to look less like a chihuahua and more like a weird human. So they started calling him Jiminy Man, like Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio.
Oh yeah,
just kind
I
of
can
a basic
see that.
head, just kind of an oval shaped head. Yeah, this is like this is the Jiminy Man and Stimp show a lot of the time. Like Ren looks really wonky and off in general on this show. And Stimpy doesn't look that great either. I mean, he doesn't look probably as bad as Ren does, but Stimpy looks like a sack of potatoes a lot of the time on this because they're just like the proportions are all off, and Stimpy is, they should look cute, right? Like Ren and Stimpy should look cute, but even when they're being gross, but they don't really look cute or gross or much of anything on this. They're just kind of they're on model. That was one of John's big sawhorses was, I don't care about the model sheets, do good drawings. People will know who the characters are supposed to be. And in this, you can tell like they were trying to keep Ren and Stimpy consistently on model. And even when they do their big takes or their big crazy expressions, wacky faces, as some people like to call them, it's pretty restrained. They're kept on a pretty tight leash.
Yeah. And that's part of that is also a result of the fact that they're using like Toon Boom pre-made like assets and like puppet style animation. It's like a hybrid. Look, and by the way, I principally am not against any of that because it makes for quicker production cycles. And if utilized well and you create a lot of assets, you can have like that new Looney Tunes show, which looks great, which is also Toon Boom animation. So it depends on what artists use the tool, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. Look, if you look at this, the Jiminy Cricket is basically, yes, if you put a few lines and a little bit of construction wrong, Ren could end up looking like this. You know what I'm saying? If you give this thing a droopy mouth and two floppy ears, you have a wonky Ren that looks kind of off like a guy.
Well, there's literally a joke in Adult Party cartoon where in Naked Beach Frenzy, a girl says to Ren, "You're such a helpful man," and Ren says, "That's Jiminy Man to you." And he turns to the camera, and his head morphs into this weird human-looking Ren, which is one of the biggest in jokes you could possibly make on a show, but they just went ahead and did it anyway. Yeah, so I've explained it, so you'll know.
Yes, I didn't catch that one. I actually need to rewatch Adult Party cartoon. I think because the last time I watched it might have been like 8-9 years ago at this point, I guess. So I really need to give it a fair shot.
It's gonna seem better than ever after this.
Hell yeah, man! Yeah, and Ren looks really good in those episodes. They really. That's what I said. Like they evolved past the previous. It was completely different. Yeah, I need to give it another shot, I think. So yeah, Ren and Stimpy reboot is horrible.
Yeah, right? And you could say I wasn't prepared. I'd seen that one episode. I'd seen the Robbie Stumps memes and the reminds me of a Beatles song meme and the piano teeth, and I thought, like, okay, I kind of know what I'm getting into. It was so much worse than I could have anticipated, actually sitting down and marathoning the whole thing.
Yeah, man.
And I wouldn't have. I never would have if you hadn't asked me to.
Yes.
But I'm glad I did.
Yeah. I'm glad we both did it. I didn't watch all the episodes, but I sat through. I tried to marathon this, and I was miserable. I was live DMing you as I was doing it. I was literally getting angry at certain points, punching my desk. That's how terrible this fucking show is.
It is. Yeah, it was angering for sure. I was yelling at my screen by the time I got to that Jaws parody, like I said.
Oh God. Well, anyways, I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you so much for hanging out again, Spumdonor. And I think everybody should go to your channel called @Cartoon Aesthetics and especially watch your latest video the interview with Eddie Fitzgerald of Spumco fame. If you're still in the Spumco
yeah,
vibe.
Eddie
after
Fitzgerald, original Ren and Stimpy artist. 5 hours with him just went up this morning, and I didn't even remember to ask him everything that I wanted to, even though he was so generous and gave me so much of his time. But if it's well received, this video, I might be able to ask him to do a follow-up. So if you listen to it and you enjoy it, leave a comment, and you can leave questions that you'd like for me to ask Nate next time, maybe.
Yes, let's do that, guys. Liz just posted the link in the chat. Go to his YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit the bell. Yeah, leave a comment on that on his new video after you've watched it. Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out again, man. I won't keep you for much longer than 2 hours.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me back, and congratulations to you on your recent release of Butch Killigan.
Yeah, Butch Killigan too. By the way, did you check out Joop Klapsijker, that cartoon, that comic book, the American one, or the Amsterdam one?
All I could do was Google image it, because unfortunately it's never been translated to English, but I really liked what I see. Sure. It really reminds me of Robert Crumb, who I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, maybe I should translate that. Maybe AI can do that.
Yeah, I need I need you to be my personal translator.
I'll read it to you before bed.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for hanging out. We got to do it again sometime. But yes, guys, there he goes. Spumco, thank you so much for hanging out. Spumdonor, I should say, not Spumco.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sven. Take care.
All right. See you later. Peace. All right. There he goes. Another great appearance by Spumdonor. Hope you guys enjoyed our big epic review of Ren and Stimpy Reboot. That was atrocious. Oh, God. It's really bad.